Alright, so I'm just getting the text for the Magic 8 Ball. So I'm going to Wikipedia. Here it all is. These are all the different answers, and there's 20 different answers. So I'm just going to copy all that. I pasted it into a text document. These are all the different things that the Magic 8 Ball can say. Alright, so I want to record those. So I'm going to use Audacity. Any audio recorder will do. Anything that will allow you to record, you can use GarageBand. It's just Audacity. It's a free download on the Mac or on a PC. It doesn't work. I don't think they have anything yet for the iPad. There are other audio recorders that you can use on the iPad if you'd rather. Okay, but if you're in the computer lab, you can always download Audacity onto a computer and use that. I'm just going to hit record, and then I'm going to go into my text edit and read these things. It is certain. It is decidedly so. Without a doubt. Yes, definitely. You may rely on it. As I see it, yes. Most likely. Outlook good. Yes. Signs point to yes. Yes. Signs point to yes. Reply hazy. Try again. Ask again later. Better not tell you now. Cannot predict now. Concentrate and ask again. Don't count on it. My reply is no. My sources say no. Outlook not so good. Very doubtful. So those are my 20 sounds. I'm just going to go back and edit that little part where I had to. Most likely. Outlook good. Yes. Signs point. I'm going to take this part. Just remove that. That's the beginning. So here it goes. It is certain. It is decidedly so. Alright, so I want to change all of that a little bit. Let's go to Effect, and first I'm going to amplify it, make it as loud as possible. Add an echo. I'm going to echo, and I'm telling it that I want the time delay to be 0.3 of a second, like 0.3 seconds. And I want the decay factor to be 0.25. So it's like a quarter as loud as the original. We do that. It is certain. It is decidedly so. Without a doubt. Okay. Then I'm going to change the pitch. I'm going to make it a little bit, or change the speed. We could do either one. I like change the speed because it sounds a little bit nicer. Just lower it down a little bit. So I'm using negative 16% change. Okay, and then, let's see what that sounds like.
It is certain. It is decidedly so. Without a doubt. Yes, definitely. You may...
Okay, maybe a little bit lower. Change the speed. Let's try 25%.
It is certain. It is decidedly so.
Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. So I'm going to take each sound like that, Command X to cut it, Command N to make a new document, and then paste it.
It is certain.
And then File, Export, Audio. And I want to export them as MP3s. You could export them as waves as well, but MP3 is probably one of the easier ones to work with. I'm just going to, on my desktop, inside my apps folder, inside my Magic 8 Ball folder, I'm going to make a folder for my sounds. New folder, sounds, create, and then this is going to be It Is Certain. Name it It Is Certain. And press OK. And we do that for each of the sounds.
It is decidedly so.
It is decidedly so. I'm just going to paste that in, and then File, Export Audio, and it is decidedly so, like that, and save. I'm just going to do that for each of the sounds. We're going to make the Magic 8 Ball. Go into Xcode, make a new project, choose single view application. We'll learn about all these things later on. The next step is the product name, so I'm going to call it Magic 8 Ball. The team is me and all that stuff, and make sure you're using Swift as your language, and then next. I'm going to call this one Magic 8 Ball 2. How's that? Okay, create. I'm just saving it in a folder on my desktop. Brings us into a window that looks like this. I want to go to our main storyboard. Single click on the main storyboard, and it's just this blank view controller. So a view controller is like a page on your phone. I need to put in a image view. So you can scroll down here to get to image view. Let me move this up so you can see it. Image. There's your image view. And just drag one of those onto the stage. This is going to hold the picture of a Magic 8 Ball. I'm just going to put that inside the Assets cassette, X cassette. So I'm just going to not double click, single click. Double click opens it into a new window like that, which is fine. But single click will open it onto your stage. I think I put it on the desktop. And here, we can close that now. We can look at this using the Attributes Inspector, I think this is called. If you just hold your mouse over it, it'll tell you. Attributes Inspector. In here, we can go and get the image. So it tells us the image's name, and right now we don't have one. So if I choose ball 8, we should see it. Okay, now you see how it's all squished? That's because it's scaled to fill, like it fills up this square, this rectangle. So if I tell it to aspect fit, it'll keep its own proportions. After that, the image isn't centered on itself, so I'm going to have to get it centered to the screen, I'm going to have to manipulate it a little bit. So I'm just going to move it a little bit. Okay, just so it appears centered. Then I'm going to need a couple of labels. So down here, I can just go label. Like that, or I could scroll right through everything until I find a label. There's one. I'm going to need a label. This one is going to tell you to ask a question and then shake. I want to put a label for the response. I can just drag that on, or I can copy this. This is going to be my response. The response needs to be a larger font. It needs to be centered. Let's make the font just a little bit larger to 22. We need to have multiple lines. So I'm going to go with 4 or 5 lines. I'm going to make this a lot larger. So I'm just going to stretch this like that. Bring that down here as well. It will just fill that space as best it can. We can change the color of this if you want. Now we have almost everything that we need to do. This is what the code looks like if I go up here to the view controller in Swift. So this is the code so far. This is what it makes for us. We don't have to write anything. And so this is just a blank to get us a view controller on the screen. So I'm going to write import AV foundation. So this gives us access to things like playing sounds. I'm going to make some variables. I want to make an audio player. So to make a variable, I'm going to put var, then audio player. This is to play the sounds, and it is an AV audio player. So AV, and it completes the code for us, which is nice. We don't have to type it all in. Then I need to get access to that label. And I need an exclamation point here to unwrap that. Don't worry about that, I'll explain that later on. And then I need to open up my assistant editor. So the assistant editor will allow you to see 2 things at the same time. If I go back to the main storyboard, here, let me close this window. I can see my storyboard, I can see my view controller, my window at the same time, and I can see the code. I want to be able to change this label using the code. I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to click and drag from there right to below where it says class view controller. Then this is an outlet, so our choices are outlet or outlet collection. It's not really any choice. We're just going to call this, we're just going to give it a name, so I'm going to call it my label. And that's all we have to do. Connect. Storage weak, that's fine. Then we need to tell the program that it's going to accept when you shake it. It has to recognize that gesture. So to do that, we're going to make the program be able to read gestures. So to do that, I'm going to put in this code, override function become first responder. And as soon as you start to type B, it knows what you're after, and you can just click on that, or you can press return. Let me just make this a bit wider so you can see what's going on. It automatically makes it the way it's supposed to be. I'm just going to get rid of where it says code here. I'm just going to have it return true. It just knows that this can respond to things like, oops, you don't need a semicolon. It can respond to things like shake gestures. This is the meat and potatoes of it. We want to get it to know that we've shaken it. I'm going to write override function. This is a function that exists, and we are just rewriting it. Motion ended. And then I can just press return. I'm going to write if motion. So here's my actual code. So this is the program right here. This is really what we're doing. We're saying if we just shook the machine, so if motion is equal to dot motion shake. So if we just shook it, do something. I'm going to print something. Now printing just prints to the output console. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. I have been shaken. Let's test the program. I'm going to press run. If it works, as soon as we test the shake, we should get something to the output window saying I have been shaken. I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to click on this, and that's going to open a panel down here. If it's closed, there's a little panel here that you can open. So we're really looking at the output window here. If I go into the app and go to hardware and tell it to shake gesture, okay, which is control Apple, control command Z, we should see I have been shaken. Good, so that works. The next thing I want to do is I want to turn this label into something. The label is my label, so I'm just going to copy that. And down here I'm going to write my label.text is equal to I have been shaken. Just copy that. If we run that, Command R is the shortcut. It's building the app. Control Command Z. See, I have been shaken, and it says here in the output window, I have been shaken. Now we want to get the sounds to play and the messages to change. To get the sounds to play, there's a little tiny bit of code that we have to write. We need to make an audio player, which we've already made. Good. So audio player, and then we need the code for the audio player. Down here, we're going to make a function called play sound. So function play sound, like that. And then I'm going to make a variable called sound name. It is going to be a string, so that's a type. String is just text. But string, I'm going to make a, well, it's a variable, but it doesn't vary, so it's a constant. So in Swift, we use something called a let. I'm going to close my brace bracket here. It's the beginning of the function, the end of the function. Did I not make the beginning of the function? Here, let's make the beginning of the function. So this is the beginning of the function, the end of the function. And then I'm going to put my code in here. So I'm going to make a constant. So in Swift, that's let. I'm going to make something called sound URL, SMD URL, and this will be the address of our sound. Bundle.main.url, okay? And so when you start to enter this, we should get code completion for resource with string with extension. Okay, that's what we're after. So I'm just going to double click on that. Our extension is going to be MP3. Okay, because all of our sounds are MP3s. MP3. For resource, and what's the resource that we're after is our sound name. So I'm just going to replace this with sound name. I don't need to unwrap that, so let's take away that question mark. If you have a space before the equals, it wants a space after the equals, likes it to be balanced. And we're going to try and play that. Because this is where the program can crash, we have to do this thing called do and catch. You try something out, you see if it works, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, you want to catch the error. I'm going to do, and then open bracket, and then close the bracket like that. So I'm going to put some code in here, and I'm going to write audio player. Player is equal to try, so we're trying something, AV audio player, and contents of, so we're looking for this, contents of, we're looking for the sound URL, so I'm just going to write the sound URL right here, like that, and we want to unwrap that. That's what the exclamation point does. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Then we want to see, so we're trying this out, and then if there's an error, this is what we do. Catch. And I'm just going to print to the output window the error. So print the error like that. If that all works, then we can play the sound. So audio player dot play like that. So I made a whole bunch of sounds, which I put in a folder. Let me go and get that folder. Here's all the sounds that I made. I'm just going to test it. Here, I'll use as I see it, yes. And I'm just going to drag it into this window here, just right below where it says main storyboard. And make sure copy items if needed is clicked. Click finish. Oops, that should say error. It says arrow. Down here, I'm going to have it play that sound. Okay, so I'm just going to go over, and my sound is as I see it, comma, yes. Now, it might not like those commas and the spaces, but let's just try this. We'll see if it works. The worst thing you can do is say, no, I don't work. I didn't get rid of that. That should just say contents of sound URL. I'm going to call my play sound function. So I'm just going to copy this up here, and down here I'm going to put in, oh yeah, I have to copy this exactly back into our code. Our sound name is, I'm just going to put this in quotes, as I see it, yes. All right, so let's try that out. Let's try it out with the shake gesture.
I see it. Yes.
All right, totally works. The next step is to build our random number generator and to randomly pick what sound we're going to play and then to play it. I'm going to make a function called myrand. So it's just going to generate a random number. It's a function, and I'm going to call it myrand. And it's going to take two arguments. One is going to be an A, so generating a number between 6 and 10. So the A would be the 6. Okay, and that's an integer. And the B value, that'd be the upper bound, would also be an integer. So we're generating a number from 6 to 10, that sort of thing. and it would give back a number. So it's generating a number, so it's going to send back an integer. And then we open our brace brackets and close our brace brackets. I'm going to make a constant called range. So range is going to be the subtraction of the big number, the b, take away the a. I'm going to make a variable, once again a constant, and it's going to be called rand, and it is going to be the integer value of, the name of the function we're going to be using is arc for random, and then something else we're going to add to it, underscore uniform. So let's get rid of that, underscore uniform. And that's going to generate a random number, but it's going to be a uint32, which is a special kind of integer. We're going to send it the range, this number, the range. If the range is like 10, it's going to generate a number between 1 and 10. If the range is 5, it's going to generate a number from 1 to 5. So if we sent A being 6 and B being 10, so it's generating a number between 6 and 10. So the range is 10 take away 6 is 4. So it's picking a random number between 0 and 4. Like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it says, can I convert the value of this integer into a uint32? So we have to do that. So I'm just going to put range inside another pair of brackets, and I'm going to write uint32. So uint32 in front of it. So it converts it to the proper kind of number. If we're generating a random number between 0 to 4, and really we want a random number between 6 and 10, I'm going to add the a back to that. So plus a. Got a strange little error up here. I've closed the if, but I didn't close the function up there. There we go. Then we have to return the random value. So return. And we've made our random number generator, which is right here. And I want to pick a random number between 1 and 20. That number, like if it's 1, it's going to play our first sound. If it's 2, it's going to play our second sound. If it's 3, it's going to play our third sound, and so on. So to keep track of which sounds I played, I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to call it pick. I'm going to just make it equal to 1 to start. I'm going to put an if here. If pick is equal to 1. Here, I don't need the brackets. It's a different programming language. If pick is equal to 1, then make our label it is certain and play the sound it is certain. Then, or else, if it's not equal to 1, let's say if it's equal to 2, let's go and get, here let me go get all my, I'm going to put that into a comment just so I have it handy. We've done it is certain, so let's remove the it is certain, and then it is decidedly so. So let's remove that. If it's 3, do the next one. So else, if the pick is 3, I'm going to do without a doubt. And we do that for each sound. The faster way of doing this, the automatic indenting device can be a little annoying here. See the brackets beside the P on your keyboard? If I press Command and then that bracket, which is a left-facing bracket, it moves everything to the left. And if I hit the right, it moves everything to the right. So I'm just going to copy that, put another else here, and then paste. Every time I do, it tries to indent it, and I can get rid of that indentation by going Command, that bracket. So I have 3, 4, 5, 6, and then my else. And paste. I'm going to get rid of that indenting. One more. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and finally 20. I can get rid of all of this. I'm going to take my yes definitely. So where did I get to? I had the first 2 done. It is certain. It is decidedly so, without a doubt. Okay, so it is certain again. So number 4. We have number 5, and then number 6, and then number 7, then 8, then 9, then 10, then 11, then 12, then 13, then 14, then 15, then 16, then 17, then 18, then 19, then 20. And let's get rid of this stuff. Right now our pick is equal to 1, so it's just going to play the sound and show this text over and over again at the top here. So it's going to do it is certain over and over again. So each time I come through here, I'm going to have it change pick into pick plus 1. I'm going to make the pick value equal to itself, but plus 1. Pick plus 1, like that. Let's test that, and if it works, we're going to hear each sound one after the other every time we shake it. Control Command Z.
It is certain.
Okay, that was the first one.
It's decided
Second one,
so.
good. We've run into an error. I've pressed play twice and it hasn't played. Yep, here's our error. So it didn't like the third sound. Let's look at the output window. We don't have any playback. Let's just try and keep track of what sound we're playing. I'm going to make a little print here. Print, and I'm just going to print the value of pick. So I'm going to write the word pick is, and then slash open bracket pick, close bracket, and then close the quotes. And what this does is it prints out the value of the variable. So this is the word pick, or the string pick space is space, and then I put in this slash open bracket and my variable, and it should print its value. And we're going to run that again.
It is decidedly so.
We have pick 1, pick 2, control command Z, pick 3. I didn't hear anything for pick 3, and we have an error. So it didn't like that sound. Let's go into our sounds here. Bring this back into the folder we're working in. The third pick is supposed to be without a doubt.
It is decidedly so.
Well, it's not playing the right sound. Here it is. Without a doubt it has a little space in front of it. So I'm just going to get rid of that space. I'm going to have to correct that sound so it's playing the right sound. But in any case, that was the error. If I go back into our code here and press play, it should work fine. Control Command Z.
It is certain.
Good. So that was 1.
It is decidedly
2.
so. It is decidedly so.
3. Okay, so there's a problem with that one. I have to change the sound that's inside that folder.
Yes, definitely.
5, we have an error. So then back into our code, let's look at the 5th sound. You may rely on it. So let's go back into let's go and see what our you may rely on it sound looks like. And I have you may rely on it all as one word. So let's put the little space here. You may rely on it, like that. Let's run that again. Control Command Z to shape.
It is certain.
Okay, 1 works, 2 works, 3 works, 4
Yes,
works.
definitely.
And
You may rely on it.
good, 5 works.
As I see it.
6.
Yes. Most
7.
likely outlook.
8.
Yes.
9.
Signs
10.
pointing yes. Reply
11.
easy. Ask
12.
again later. Better not
13.
tell you. Cannot
14.
predict. Concentrate.
15.
Don't
16.
count on it. My reply
17.
is my
18.
sources say no. Outlook not so good.
19.
Very
And finally
doubtful.
20. If I click again, it's going to try and pick 21, but the problem is there is no 21, so we're going to get some sort of error, okay, in which we see it's trying to pick 21. We don't have a 21, so it's going to give us an error in a second if it ever gets there. So now let's make them random. Every time we come in here, I'm going to make pick is equal to myrand, and we're picking, and I think rand is capitalized, so myrand, and we're picking a number between 1 and 20. I'm going to go down here and get rid of that pick is equal to pick plus 1 because we no longer need it. We're now getting a random number. We know all of our sounds work. That's it. That's the program. Let's test it. So I'm going to press stop and then run. Oh, it doesn't like something. Oh, it wants to have the A colon and the B and the B colon. We have to actually put in what the variables are. Run. It's running, and let's test it out. Control Command Z.
Outlook good.
All right. Pick is 8. All right.
It is decidedly so.
All right. So that's working just fine.
It is certain. Cannot predict. Better not tell you. Most likely.
There we go.
Yes,
And that's it for
definitely.
the app. Have a good day.